Sukhi Hotu and welcome to the Buddhist Mahavihara's Facebook page. This evening we are going live, uh, especially today being Vesak. We have arranged a very special Dhamma talk as part of our program to celebrate Vesak here at the Buddhist Mahavihara. As you know, today is Vesak, and this is when Buddhists all over the world commemorate and reflect upon the birth, enlightenment, and passing away of Buddha Gautama. After three events, I feel that enlightenment was the most significant of his life events. The Buddha spent 45 years of his life compassionately disseminating the message of peace without any discrimination. He taught and showed us the Dhamma Vinaya, which is the path to unshakable peace of mind, total liberation from suffering, and the breaking of the cycle of samsara. It is thus only befitting that we commemorate this Vesak Day mindfully in wholesome activities, using kind words, pure thoughts, and meritorious actions. One of the most meritorious actions is listening to the Dhamma with focused wisdom and at an opportune moment. We are extremely fortunate this evening to have an upcoming and very popular Dhamma teacher and meditation practitioner in Bhante Dr. S. Pemaratana Thera. Let me invite Bhante into our studio.
Sukhi Hotu.
Sukhi Hotu Bhante, good evening or good morning to you in Pittsburgh.
Good evening, brother, and everyone in Malaysia.
Yeah. So Bhante, welcome to our special Vesak Dhamma sharing. Tonight we're not just sharing this valuable Dhamma with our regular 6,000 over BMB followers, but we are also sharing this with I think about 30,000 the Theravada Buddhist Council of Malaysia's followers as well. Because it's broadcast live, we are cross-posting to the TBCM Facebook page. For those of you who are not familiar with Bhante Premaratana, let me read his profile quickly, and then we can start with the Dhamma sharing. Bhante Dr. S. Pemaratana is the Chief Abbot of the Pittsburgh Buddhist Center in USA. He holds a bachelor's degree in Buddhist studies from the Pemaratana University in Sri Lanka. He also holds a master's in philosophy from the National University of Singapore and was conferred a PhD from the University of Pittsburgh. He conducts regular workshops on meditation at his center and also at yoga studios in the greater Pittsburgh area. He also provides spiritual counseling to help Americans deal with the challenges of modern living. Bhante, could I now invite you to start this evening's Dhamma sharing? The subject will be, or the topic will be, Similes of the Buddha.
Okay. Thank you, Brother Leslie, and thank you, everyone. Thank you, Buddhist Mahavihara, and thank you, Theravada Council of Theravada Buddhist Council in Malaysia for inviting me for this Dhamma sharing. Let us first of all put our palms together and pay our homage, pay our tribute to the Buddha. And today is a special day that we all can commemorate the great three main events in the lives of the Buddha. And with that gratitude, let us pay respect to the Buddha. Namo tasse bhagavatu arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavatu arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavatu arahato samma sambuddhasse. First of all, I wish you all a blissful Vesak. And Vesak Day is a very important day throughout the world. But I have also noticed that Vesak Day is also a very important day in Malaysia. And this is the day that all our Dhamma friends get together to do celebrations, to attend Dhamma programs. And this is also the time that many other religious practitioners start to greet our Buddhist people. So it's a kind of a period that Buddhists themselves are able to celebrate and commemorate the teachings of the Buddha, the lives of the Buddha, but at the same time, other religious practitioners can also, find the time to like greet and wish our Buddhist friends. So it's a nice period. I remember that Malaysia used to have a really festive celebration of Vesak. And for the first time in my life, I have seen Vesak floats in Malaysia. I haven't seen that kind of Vesak floats in any other part of the world. I mean, I haven't traveled a lot of countries, but that was an interesting thing for me too. Whenever I think about Vesak in Malaysia, that Vesak floats and many other special celebration unique to Malaysia comes to my mind. So this is the time that we used to do all these things. But of course, this year and even the previous year, we didn't get to do all these festive celebrations. So we kind of miss those, gatherings, those celebrations, those, singings that we did for the Buddha. And although these decorations we did for the Buddha, we really miss those things. But I'm thinking, actually, it's also in another way, it's an opportunity. What I mean by opportunity is that because when we do these festive celebrations, sometimes we may focus a lot on decorations and celebrating and those activities. In that whole process of preparing for festivities, sometimes we may forget the real the meaning of Vesak. And then sometimes we may miss the opportunity to deeply reflect the value of this message of the Buddha, the value of the fact that Buddha was enlightened. And so I hope that, because we cannot do so many festive celebrations this time, this Vesak is an opportunity for us to have a real serious celebration, serious commemoration of the life of the Buddha, and also serious reflections on the teachings of the Buddha. So we may be at our homes by ourselves, but we are connected to all our friends through internet, through online platforms. So still we are together in a sense, but we can seriously engage in contemplative practice. So this time our Vesak is contemplative celebration of Vesak, which is more meaningful than big celebrations. So we really need to celebrate the main three events of the Buddha. Whenever we have opportunity, we should do that. But we should also not forget that we should reflect and contemplate and deeply appreciate the value of the teachings of the Buddha. So this time we have that opportunity. So let us do it together. So I'm so grateful to Buddhist Mahavihara and everyone who gave me this opportunity to help to have this Dhamma sharing with you. I would like to do some short guided meditation before we start our Dhamma talk, and it's a time. It will help us to settle our mind and fully focus on the teachings of the Buddha. And of course, as Buddhists, one of the things that we need to do in our life, other than doing charities and engaging in moral, following moral precepts, is the practice of meditation. Is simply watching our mind and also training our mind to be wholesome and then have deeper wisdom. So let us do some short practice of meditation. On this Vesak day, the most appropriate meditation that we can do is recollections on the virtues of the Buddha, what we call Buddha Nusati. So I will invite you to take a moment. Let us spend a few minutes on doing reflections on the qualities of the Buddha, the virtues of the Buddha, and focusing on those virtues on the Buddha again and again and again and again, and directing our thoughts to the Buddha again and again, again and again. We can meditate on the Buddha, and in that way we can purify our mind, and we can bring our mind to one of the most wholesome states we can ever generate. So let us try to do it in honor of Vesak, in honor of the enlightenment day of the Buddha, in honor of the birthday and also the day that Buddha passed away to parinirvana. In honor of these three events of the Buddha, let us now do a short meditation on Buddha Nusati. So I invite you to, settle your body and keep some kind of straight body and make sure that your body is balanced. Wherever you are sitting, make sure that you have a balanced body and your spine is erect. Not erect means like you have upright body. So take a moment just to feel your body as a way of coming to the present moment. Just take a moment how this body is sitting here. The way your legs are being placed right now, whatever the way they are lying, they have been kept. Just observe that and observe how your body is touching the chair or the cushion. Feel those touch sensation or somewhat maybe perhaps pressed muscles against the cushion or chair. Just feel it. And then feel your upper body. With this awareness of the body, we have brought our mind to the present moment. And today is the Vesak full moon day, one of the most holiest, most wholesome day in the year. How wonderful that we got an opportunity to fully dedicate our mind to the Buddha on this special day. Let us dedicate our whole attention to the Buddha, having no other thoughts in our mind. Let us fully focus on the beautiful virtues of the Buddha just for a while as a way of an offering to the Buddha. Take a moment and bring to your mind one of the most serene Buddha images that you have ever seen in your life. Bring to your mind that image, a serene, beautiful image of the Buddha, with a serene face, peaceful demeanor, with a nice, peaceful, stable posture. Just have this image of the Buddha in your mind right now. See the serenity, the wisdom that is expressed in this image. Having this image in our mind, let me guide you to do Buddhanusati meditation. We will focus on three virtues of the Buddha for our meditation right now. First is the deep wisdom of the Buddha. Samma Sambuddho. The fully awakened mind of the Buddha. So please repeat these words in your mind. Fully awakened is the Supreme Buddha. The Supreme Buddha penetrated into the true reality of life. The Supreme Buddha discovered how suffering arises and how it can be ended. The Supreme Buddha comprehended the principle of dependent origination, paticca samuppada. It's a discovery. The Buddha's deep and vast wisdom penetrated everywhere without obstruction. Samma Sambuddho Samma Sambuddho Samma Sambuddho. Arahant, the purity of the Buddha. The Supreme Buddha was forever cleansed of all mental defilements. The Supreme Buddha eradicated all influxes of defilements. The Supreme Buddha was dispassionate and was not clinging to anything in the world. His mind was stainless and completely pure. Arahant so bhagava. Arahant so bhagava. Arahant so bhagava. Mahakaruniko, the great compassion of the Buddha. The Supreme Buddha was full of compassion for all living beings. The Supreme Buddha sacrificed a lot to help many beings to free from suffering. The Supreme Buddha guided countless beings into the enlightenment. The Supreme Buddha treated everyone with compassion without any discrimination. Mahakaruniko 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 with deep gratitude to the sublime teachings of the Buddha, with the deep gratitude, the great example of a great teacher, let us conclude our meditation. Gently come out of the meditation and gently put your palms together. Let us say sadhu 3 times with deep gratitude to the Buddha. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, so we gave our space in our heart to the Buddha. That's a very good way of honoring the Buddha, giving our heart and letting the Buddha occupy our heart. That's a great offering. I really appreciate your participation in it. Let us now move to our Dhamma talk. And today I would like to share with you the similes used by the Buddha in his teaching. We know that as a compassionate teacher, Buddha has used so many important techniques to convey the deep message of the Buddha. What Buddha discovered is really how this world operates and how our life operates and how we construct how the suffering is arising. And then, of course, Buddha also taught how we can overcome that, how we can transcend this limitations of the mind, and how we can transcend and become enlightened, or at least how we can reduce our suffering and make our life more meaningful and happier and gradually moving towards the enlightenment. So this teaching is not so simple. It is little profound, and it requires a lot of reflections and requires very kind of investigation. So therefore, when Buddha was giving his teaching, and he used a lot of similes, and that's one of the important qualities of Buddha as a teacher, using all different kinds of similes that help us to understand the deeper meaning of his teaching. So I'm going to share with you a few similes that Buddha has used. Hopefully, these similes will stay in your mind. And one good thing about the similes is that, those things can easily remembered. So when we remember the simile, that will also help us to keep the teaching in our mind. So I'm going to share with you about 4 similes today. And of course, the first simile I would like to share with you is the simile that we can see in the first utterance of the Buddha. In the Buddhist tradition, we believe that after Buddha became enlightened, and Buddha has these expressions in his mind that later he taught to the monks, what we call his utterances of joy after attaining enlightenment under that Bodhi tree on this full moon day. After many years of searching and struggles, and of course not only years, but when you think about his previous lives, that during the time that he fulfilled different perfections and developed certain skills to become a Sambuddha, a supreme Buddha who can establish a dispensation, a sasana. So after all these effort and struggles, when he attained the enlightenment, and naturally he had this expression of joy, and later he shared those utterances with the monks, and we find that utterances of joy of the Buddha in the Dhammapada. And in Dhammapada there are two verses that explains these utterances of joy of the Buddha after attaining enlightenment. Some of you are familiar with this verse, but let me chant this verse, this utterance of joy, in Pali first. And in this verse we have a very interesting simile the Buddha is using to explain what he did, what it means to become enlightened. And that's an interesting simile. And let me chant that first. Anika jati sangsarang sandha visangsang anibisang gahakarekang gave santo dukkha jati punap punang gahakaraka dittosi punagehang nakahasi sabbate phasuka bagga gahakutang visankitang visankharagatang cittang tanhanang kaya majjaga. This is the joy of utterances of joy of the Buddha. Let me read the meaning of that. And Buddha said that Aneka jati sansarang sandha visang. I traveled through many rounds of births in sansara while seeking but not finding the house builder. That's where you find the simile. I have traveled many rounds of birth in the sansara while seeking but not finding the house builder. I use the term house builder. Who is this house builder? And then he said that today I have seen you, the house builder. And then Buddha addressed this house builder. Oh, house builder, now you are seen. And the ridge pole is also shattered. The mind has become free from conditionings, and the end of craving has been reached. This is the simple translation of the word. So here we find this interesting simile. Buddha is talking about a house builder and addressing the house builder and saying that now you can't build any more house, and I have broken your rafters, your beams, and I have also broken your ridge pole, and no more house is going to be built. So what is this house, and who is this house builder? And what is this? What are these rafters, and what is this ridge pole? Though this is the simile used by the Buddha. So when Buddha said that I have wandered in the samsara while seeking but not finding the house builder, he's using a simile to explain what he was doing in his search for enlightenment. The house builder, the person who's building the house, the creator of the house. But in this case, what Buddha meant by the term house is actually, we can call it house could be the individual or our existence, the what we call the I, on a deeper meaning, the 5 aggregates of clinging. So the five aggregates of clinging is the kind of house that house that we uh, keeps or building on, and that is where we envision an existence of an I. So what Buddha is saying, that I was looking for the creator who is building these houses. The house also can mean like any being. The five aggregates of thinking is the contents of any being. So he was looking for a creator of living beings. In other words, mainly, but specifically, he was looking for the creator of the I, the self. How this self is being constructed. How we create this whole body and mind, this whole five aggregates, and identify it as I. And who is building this? And he was looking for the creator of that. And then at the as a result of his enlightenment, and he said that, "Oh house builder, now you are saved. I saw you, I found you, who has been building this house all this while." What is interesting in this case is actually this creator or this house builder is building this house without our awareness, without our knowledge of it. We all have a basic blindness to this builder. Even to the whole this process of building, we have this basic blindness, what we call avidya or ignorance, and we can't see it. But the house is kept building, and we don't know who is building it. We simply just become victims to these houses. And different time we have different houses. Like right now we have a human house, a much better house than other houses. But in maybe another lifetime, we can have different other houses. And whatever the house is there, we are kind of um, prisoners of that house. Once we attach to one house, we are the kind of prisoners, and then all the beings are kind of trapped into these houses, and without knowing who's building it, and without knowing how to transcend these houses. So Buddha is saying that I saw you, I saw the house builder, and then Buddha say that not only I saw you, then I also made it impossible for you to make any house anymore, at least for the Buddha. And he said that I have broken the ridgepole, and we can think about the main part of the house is the roof, and there's a particular architectural design that you put all the rafters, all the beams together and create the ridgepole that will hold the whole roof. But once you shatter the ridgepole, you cannot have any more roof there. And Buddha said that I have shattered your ridgepole, I have also destroyed your rafters, and there's no more house you are going to build for me. And then, who is this house builder? That's an interesting question we can ask. The answer is at the end of the verse. And Buddha said that at the end of the verse, Buddha said that Tanhanang Kaya Majjaka. The end of craving is reached. Tanha, this incessant thirst for sensual indulgence, incessant thirst for maintaining self-identity, and even incessant thirst for destruction of the previously constructed I. So thirst or craving can be manifested in three different ways. So craving is the creator, the house builder. So Buddha said that I was searching for the house builder, or the maybe creator of beings. I found the creator of beings. Who is the creator of beings? It's not an external force, but it's the internal force that is called craving. It is the craving that keeps constructing different forms of existence. It is the craving that keeps constructing different beings. It's a craving that keeps constructing different versions of self. And Buddha said that I found the creator. That's a craving. And now I also realized that how craving is arising. Our craving arises when we are blind to this whole process of experience, when we are blind how we construct our experience, this craving is building all different forms of houses. So that's the kind of first simile that occurred to the Buddha's mind after his enlightenment. And this is interesting simile for us to think about. And first, understand, like his use of simile, that understand that every being is a kind of house. Now, our 5 aggregates of clinging, or pancha upadana skandha, is a kind of house. But that house, the very idea of house is very interesting. And house is not a permanent entity. And house is also like combination of different parts. And so in a real sense, we cannot even call, there's no essential thing called house. It's simply putting different parts together, we can call it house. There are, there's a roof, and there are walls, there are, different, beams, all kinds of things. When all these things put together, we call it a house. But if someone asks, where is the house? We cannot point out one single thing in the house saying that this is the house. All are parts of the house, but when these parts are together, we call it a house. Otherwise, there's no essential house. In the same way, when we think about all the 5 aggregates, all the panchakanda that is working within us, and we cannot really point to any of these aggregates saying that this is me. We cannot point to our physical form or rupa and say this is me. We cannot point to our perceptions, our concepts called sanya and call this is me. We cannot refer to our sankhara, our internal tendencies, our habitual patterns. We cannot call it this is me. So even consciousness is a transient process. Even we cannot call it me. So it's a very interesting simile of the house, and think about ourselves, and also think that all these 5 aggregates are working together and forming this nice dynamic process, and we perceive this whole dynamic process as I, and that is the craving. That the idea of I is coming out as a result of craving, and this is very natural, and this is very natural. This is happening to all living beings, but Buddha discovered it, and Buddha penetrated this deep truth, and that is what we mean by the awakening, the enlightenment of the Buddha. I remember Bhante Punnaji used a very interesting term for us to understand this concept of bhava. Bhante Punnaji used a term called dream of existence. What Buddha discovered is that actually all beings are in a dream of existence. What Bhante Punnaji meant by that is that we are all, in a kind of diluted state of existence, means that we imagine that there's a separate, enduring I exist all the time. So we have that dream of existence of I. But what is happening in the awakening is that we deep realize that we kind of we wake up from the dream of existence, and then we have a direct understanding of the process of experience. So moving from dream of existence to reality of experience, or this process of experience. So what is happening in any being is actually occurrences of continued series of experiences. Continued series of experiences are happening again and again, again and again. That is what is really happening. But we all are in a dream of existence, means that we are dreaming of an individual solid I that exists across the time. So that's what we call dream of existence. So what Buddha did in his enlightenment is to wake up from this dream of existence and deeply realize how experience is occurring in any being constantly, and then create this false image of permanent I. And so what Buddha said, that the ridge pole, he said the ridge pole is shattered. What he meant by the ridge pole is the avidya, the basic blindness that we have to our own process of experience. We don't really see how we experience the world. We only see the experience of the world, but we don't see how this experience is constructed. That's a basic blindness. But we, through practice, through effort, through mindfulness, we can actually have awareness of this, of the very way that our experience of the world is constructed. And that is what we, the inability to see, that is called avijja, or what we usually translate as ignorance. And rich what you call rich pole is that avijja. Buddha said that I shattered the rich pole. That is the rich pole. The avijja is the rich pole that keep all these rafters together and then create this illusion of separate being. But Buddha said that I shattered it, and also all the rafters are the other all different forms of defilements. As a result of this avijja, we can have all other forms of defilements, starting with greed, hatred, jealousy, and conceit. All different rafters are coming out. All are connected to the rich pole. But all these things are destroyed, and that is the joyful utterances of the Buddha. And Buddha was so joyful that ultimately he found the secret, and he found the builder of this house, which is the craving, which is based on the basic ignorance. And Buddha discovered it and penetrated the truth, and then start sharing that truth with many others. And then he used that wonderful simile for us to understand that. I hope that you remember that simile, the house and the house builder. House is our self, our fire aggregates, and the house builder is the craving. And what makes everything possible is the ignorance and avijja. And the whole Buddhist practice is to discover these things within ourselves with the help of the Buddha, with the help of our other teachers, to discover it for ourselves and gradually reduce our craving and reduce our suffering, reduce the pain that we are experiencing as a result of this craving, and gradually reduce and ultimately become enlightened. And enlightenment is not a sudden process, it's a gradual practice, and that is why we have Noble Eightfold Path as a gradual path to practice. Okay, that is the first simile I would like to share. Let me go to the next simile. This simile is found in the sutta called Dvedha Vitakka Sutta in the Middle Length Discourses, the discourse on the two sorts of thinking. And in this sutta, we find this interesting simile. And there Buddha explained, after he became enlightened, what is the kind of gift that he gave to the world. There Buddha is talking about a herd of deer, and he kind of give us a kind of simile and a kind of story for us to understand. A herd of deer was living in a beautiful mountain range, and near a mountain slope, there was a low-lying marsh, kind of swamp, but with a lot of grasses. And the deer really liked to eat fresh grass, but it's a kind of low-lying marsh and can be very dangerous because it can be a swamp. But then a person, maybe a hunter, who would like to kill this deer, create a path that lead all this deer to go to that swamp. So what this deer comes, and he comes to this forest, and he closed all the safe areas of the forest and only keep the areas open to go to that swamp. And moreover, after he closed all the safe path and only open the false path or this dangerous path, he just keep that path open. All other paths are closed. He put some obstructions to other areas of the forest, so the deer can only go to that dangerous path. And moreover, this hunter is also set up two decoys, means that like the replicas of other deers, this and what we call decoy. So he put wooden male decoy, a wooden male deer, and also a wooden female deer. So two, like a couple, and he also put those two deers along that path. So then the other actual real deer will think that, oh, okay, this is the path that deer can go. When they saw there are other deers along that path, they feel trust to go to follow that path. So he kind of it's kind of encouraging the other deers to come to that path. So this is what this hunter did. And then as a result of that, all the herd of deer is moving towards that direction, and ultimately they will go to the swamp. And then, they will, as a result, they will eventually, encounter all, pains and difficulties, and also, they will be killed, and they will fall into ruin and disaster. And then Buddha said that, okay, think about this. One day, a compassionate person came to the forest, a compassionate person, and he realized that the path was made to this herd of deer to go to this one direction, a dangerous direction. But this compassionate person felt so, so compassionate for this, herd of deer. And what he did actually, he removed that 2 decoys, that, 2 male, the wooden deer. He removed those 2, and then he also closed this dangerous path. And then he opened the safe paths, the other paths that this herd of deer can go to more safer area, and then eat, and then live their life. So this compassionate person came and opened safe path and closed the dangerous path, and also removed the 2 wooden deers. And Buddha said that, and as a result of that, this herd of deer was able to avoid the dangerous path, and they were not being fooled by this low-lying marsh. They were not being fooled by these 2 wooden deer, but instead they had they were able to go to a different direction, which is safer, and also they were able to eat, and they were able to flourish and prosper as a result. And then Buddha said that, I gave you this simile to explain a deeper meaning. And Buddha said that, and what I did as an enlightened teacher is exactly like that. And Buddha said that this low-lying marsh, that in this the green the grass, but is that appeared, but it is in the swamp. This low-lying marsh is actually a simile for sensuality or sensual pleasure. And then so people are going towards that direction, to go for sensual pleasure, and ultimately get into disaster and ruins as a result of that. And then this the large herd of deer refers to the all living beings, and this the 2 decoys, the 2 male and female wooden deer, refers to avidya and tanha. Actually, no, the passion and delight. Passion and delight. It means that nandi and raga, the similar term for craving. And these 2, there's a nandi and there's a raga. The nandi is simply liking it, and raga is more like attaching to it. So what you call, a passion and delight. So, and then the hunter stands for the Mara, the Mara, the evil one, the head of the sensual realm, who like many beings to stay in the sensual realm rather than leaving it. So the Mara. And then, of course, Buddha said that the false path is the false eightfold path. That means wrong understanding and wrong intentions and wrong speech, and then wrong actions, and so on and so forth, is the wrong eightfold path. And Buddha said that the compassionate person who came and closed the dangerous path, it stands for me, for the Buddha. And Buddha opened a safer path and removed all the dangerous signs. And the safer path, it stands for the noble eightfold path. And that's a safer path. Then people will not be fooled by the low-lying marsh, which is the sensual pleasure, but they will be able to go in the direction of a safer path and understand the deeper levels of happiness rather than this very low level of sensual pleasure. and then gradually transcending one's defilements, and then start to be compassionate and considerate, having insightful wisdom, and in that way, the all living beings be able to increase their happiness and peace, and eventually attain the enlightenment. And then at the end of that, Buddha said that, I have done what has to be done as a teacher, which is the open of this safer path. And Buddha said that, let me read that for you. Whatever a teacher should do, seeking the welfare of his disciples out of sympathy for them, that I have done for you. And please don't be negligent, and don't later regret, and please follow the path that I have laid down for you. And this is my message to you. So this is interesting simile too. So this is found in Veda Vitaka Sutta. So think about this herd of deer, and all the living beings are like herd of deer, and we all are kind of trapped to go into this one single direction, that is indulgence of senses, and thinking that that is the ultimate happiness in life. Just like any other animals who are also doing the same thing, and we are also doing the same thing. And then, but because the Buddha appeared in the world, he was able to help us to understand that there are higher forms of happiness. This sensual indulgence is only a low level of happiness, and it also has so many dangers in it, and so many dangers and disasters are attached to this this form of happiness. And Buddha recommended us to go beyond that, and that's the simile. So Buddha has opened a safe path for us, a path for safety, a path for deeper happiness, and path for liberation. That is the Noble Eightfold Path, and that we all try to practice. So just think about that. And Buddha kind of came to this world and helped us to get rid of a trap that has been set for us. And I hope that we remember this simile. Let me go to the next simile. This is found in the sutta called Sota Sutta, and this is in the Anguttara Nikaya, the numerical discourse of the Buddha. And in this Sotar Sutta, Sotar means a listener. But in this Sotar Sutta, Buddha is giving an interesting simile of an elephant. And this time it's about a royal elephant, not a simple elephant, a royal elephant. And Buddha first said that in order for a normal elephant to be worthy of being a personal elephant to the king, or worthy of being a royal elephant, that elephant should have 5 qualities. 5 qualities. And Buddha said that in order for ordinary elephant to become a royal elephant, to be trained as a royal elephant, to be accepted as the royal elephant in the court, in the palace, and he should have these 5 qualities. First, he should be a good listener. Good listener means that you need to be trained, right? So the trainers will teach him and tell him, and ask him the way he should move, and ask him to do good habits. So the elephant should be a good listener, and then he will be able to learn all these techniques, all these good manners, and also he can be trained. And then he should be a good fighter too. Good fighter, which means that when of course elephants were used in the wars also during that time. He also should be a protector to the king, so he should be a good fighter. Means that in the battles, or in any form of confrontation, the elephant should be really brave, and then should fight all other elephants and any other horses or their riders, and he should protect himself. He should protect his trunk, which is the most important part of his body, and he also should protect his feet, his tusks. He should protect his tusks, and also he should protect his rider. So he should have the bravery and the strength to protect. He should be a protector, or maybe fighter. And then the next one is that he should be patient. He should be patient, because in this duty of being a royal elephant, he has to endure so many difficulties too, particularly in the war zone, and he may have to endure so many arrows, so many blows, so many sword strokes. All these things will come in his direction, but he cannot be like become agitated and start running away. But he had to endure all these things coming towards him, protecting the rider and not leaving the ground, but keeping and enduring everything. So he has to be good. He has to be patient too. And third, fifth one is that he should be one who keeps continuing. He keeps going. He should be one who keeps going. No matter whatever challenges and difficulties come his way, he should be willing to go, and even to the area that he has never been before. He should not be afraid of going to those places. He should keep continuing his walk, his journey. So those are the 5 characteristics. He should be a listener, he should be a fighter, and he should be a patient, and he should be a protector of himself and also the rider, and he should also keeps going without stopping. So those are the 5 qualities an elephant should have. And then Buddha said that in the same way, a disciple of the Buddha, my disciple, and so for any person to become a true disciple of the Buddha, he should also have similar 5 qualities. The first one is he should be a good listener. And just like that elephant, good listener. I mean that he should listen to the teachings of the Buddha, just like you are doing right now. You already fulfill one requirement to become a good Buddhist disciple. He should be a listener and listen to the Dhamma and read the Dhamma and be open your ears to the teachings of the Buddha, because these are very rare teachings that we find in this samsara, and this is sublime teaching. This helps us to deeply understand ourselves and many others. It helps us to liberate ourselves. It helps us to reduce our suffering and find a way to live our life without conflict, in equanimity. So be a listener and ready to listen. You're already doing that. And second quality is that we should. Second one is is to become listener, and then to someone who is a fighter. Next one is a fighter. What Buddha meant by a fighter, of course, Buddha said that a Buddhist disciple should have to be a fighter, but not fight against anyone, but actually fight against one's own unwholesome thoughts. Buddha said there are 3 forms of unwholesome thoughts: thoughts of greed, maybe thoughts of sensuality, and thoughts of cruelty, and thoughts of ill will, like thoughts of owning everything in the world, and also thoughts of harm, thoughts of ill will towards others, and also thoughts of harming others. So basically greed and hatred. And whenever these thoughts arise in our mind, we should be a fighter, which means that we notice when these thoughts are arising, and we acknowledge them, and we don't continue them. We reflect the teachings of the Buddha. We reflect the true nature of the life. And our life is not long enough to fight with anyone. Our life is not enough to keep going and keeps harming others. And this life is so precious. It's not we don't have time to waste to go for unnecessary pursuits in our life. So we have to really select what we really need in our life. So when you think about all these ways, we can remove our unwholesome thoughts. So we have to be a fighter against our own unwholesome thoughts. See them, recognize them, and don't continue them, don't feed them, and simply abandon them. And then the third one, the disciple should protect himself. And just like the elephant protects himself, his trunk, his tusk, his legs, and and in the same way, a Buddhist disciple should protect himself. How he can protect himself? By guarding his senses, guarding his sensory organs. what Buddha meant by that is that, these sensory organs are so useful for us to live our life, and that these sensory organs enable us to experience the world, even to listen to the teaching of the Buddha. But at the same time, if you do not guard them, those sensory organs are the avenues, the doors to have for all the defilements to come into our life. So any defilements can come into our life as a result of anything that we see, visual forms. A defilement can come into our mind as a result of any our senses. What the Buddha meant is that become mindful of any sensory stimulus coming to us and simply watch them as they are, and don't make those sensory experience a beginning point of a strong defilements, and so guard in the senses. Seeing, understand that I am seeing a visual form, simply being mindful of any sensory data coming to us, and simply acknowledge them and then understand them, but don't go after them unnecessarily. Stick to one sensory stimulus and just keep going after them, and that's not really guarding the senses. So this is like protecting oneself. We can guard ourselves by guarding our senses, simply mindfully experiencing whatever coming to us, but don't stick into anything, which is not an easy thing to do. We can gradually practice. A trained elephant will not appear once. The elephant has to be trained again and again, again and again. He will fail at some time, then he will pick up again. Same thing for us also, but protecting the senses. And then the disciple of the Buddha should also be patient one. The patient means that in our life, we are sure to experience all difficulties and pains, particularly the difficulties related to our body. And Buddha said that a disciple of the Buddha should be able to endure heat, cold, hunger, thirst, and even certain disturbances coming from animals like flies and mosquitoes. So these things are going to come to our life. So we should be able to endure those things, and we have to be patient. And the last one is Buddha saying that just like the elephant, we should be a person who keeps going no matter what, keeps going the journey, and even to go into the areas that we have never been to. So Buddha said that as a person who's practicing the teaching of the Buddha, he'll be able to experience new mental states, compassionate mental states, even very serene mental states. Like in meditation, we experience very deeper levels of calmness. We should not be afraid of going to those places, and we should keep going. And there can be challenges, and there can be whole new experiences. We should not be afraid of going to those experiences, and keeps going along that. So when we have these 5 qualities, good listener of the Dhamma, and good fighter against our own unwholesome greed and hatred, and a good protector of oneself through protecting the senses, and then be a patient person, enduring all the physical discomfort and environmental conditions, and then being a person who keeps going along the path, which is the Noble Eightfold Path, and we can be a good disciple. We are worthy of being called a good disciple of the Buddha. So that's the important simile that Buddha has given. And let me share the last simile, and this is simile given by the Buddha to explain how we can purify our mind gradually. And Buddha has given an interesting simile of, and this is found in the sutta called the Dirt Washer Sutta, the Dirt Washer, or Pansu Dovaka Sutta. And we are Buddha giving a simile of a person who's cleaning the gold. The gold, when we mine gold, they don't come in refined form. So Buddha said that there are 3 types of impurities in gold: gross impurities, and medium impurities, and then fine impurities. So in the same way, and so the person who's cleaning, person who's making anything out of gold has to first remove these impurities. Otherwise, he cannot make anything from the gold. Gold will not be malleable enough to make anything when the gold is mixed with all kinds of impurities. But there's an order of removal of these impurities. First, this person has to remove the gross impurities. That's the first one to remove, which means the dirt. The gross impurities can be dirt, dirty sand, gravel, and grit. First, he should remove those gravel, those sands. Once he remove that, then he will be able to see other medium level of impurities. That means like a fine grit, and also some small fine sand. And then he should work on to remove that. Once he remove that moderate impurities, then he will be able to see more fine impurities. These are fine sand and also black dust. And he should also remove that at the last stage. So important is the order of this dirt, order of removal. And Buddha said in the same way, when we practice our spiritual life, we should also have this the order of removal of dirt in our mind. And Buddha said that the gross impurities stand for misconduct we do in our body and speech, which means our immoral behavior, including killing and harming living beings, cheating and lying and stealing, and all the misconduct we do with our body, and also all the misconduct we do with our speech, lying and slanderous speech, everything. And we should first remove them. And once we remove them, and then we can then move to other removal of other moderate impurities, which means that those are the unwholesome thoughts that we discussed before. Like then we can watch. Once we have the moral behavior, but the Buddha is saying that first we have to practice sila. That is removal of gross impurities. We should establish in sila first. And then we can have opportunity to see the more moderate level of impurities. Then we can address our tendency to have, greedy thoughts, angry thoughts, what we call, miccha sankappa, thoughts of, thoughts of sensuality, thoughts of ill will, thoughts of, harmfulness. And then we can address them. We can gradually practice meditation to remove them. And Buddha said that once we remove that kind of tendencies, we still can have very fine impurities. And what Buddha meant by these fine impurities is that thoughts about our ethnicity, thoughts about our, the country that we belong to, thoughts about our, family. It means that our identity. Thoughts about our identity. I am a Malaysian, I'm an American, I'm a Sri Lankan, I'm from this area, I belong to this family. And that kind of thoughts are considered the fine impurities that ultimately we should also remove them too. So this is also very interesting simile to think about, what we should do first. The first one is to remove the gross impurities. Don't worry about the fine one first, because we will not be able to see them clearly if we don't remove the gross ones. And the gross one is this removal of physical and verbal misconduct, which means established in sila. And then we can move into deeper contemplative and reflective practices to understand the arising of unwholesome thoughts, and then we can work with these thoughts to reduce them, to weaken them, and then we will be able to see very very fine impurities also. That is those related to our identity, and we will be able to remove them also. So this the simile Buddha is given is that how we can purify gold. And once you purify all these impurities, then the gold is capable of malleable enough and workable enough that we can make any ornaments we like. And Buddha said in the same way, once you remove all these impurities, your mind is so powerful, and you can do miracles, and you can have deeper realization about things. And of course, you can use that such a mind to have deep understanding of the Four Noble Truths and remove the ignorance and attain the enlightenment. But it's a gradual process. So I hope that you remember these similes, and I would now would like to maybe give some opportunity for you to ask any questions if you have. Remember these similes: simile of the house builder, and simile of the herd of deer, and then the simile of the elephant, And also, thank you, brother. See, the simile of the elephant has this, being a good listener, good fighter, good self-protector, be patient and keeps going. Thank you, brother Leslie, for putting these things for me. And then the last simile of the how to purify gold, removing the gross impurities, moderate impurities, fine impurities. Thank you, brother. Thank you very much. Okay, do you have time for questions, brother?
Yes, Bhante, we have about 5 to 10 minutes, but there are no questions at the moment that I see.
Mm.
Surprisingly, today everybody is very, I guess, in a meditative mood, Bhante. They're not in the inquisitive mood. So we don't see very many questions. And I didn't realize also the time flew so fast. We actually have gone past an hour, 1 hour,
Yeah.
15 minutes. Yeah.
But I think
Everybody's listening.
when Buddha is giving a simile, you don't feel the time.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Bhante, could you just, for my own personal knowledge, could you just explain a little bit more about the rafters and the house builder simile? A very short explanation.
Mm-hmm. Yes, brother. As we discussed before, the house builder, the Buddha used this term house builder. Personifying the craving. What Buddha discovered is that it's a craving for, what we call bhavatanha, craving for existence, means the craving for maintaining self-identity. And of course, craving for sensual indulgence and craving for destruction of the self. And it's the craving that keeps us going and keeps building these five aggregates again and again. So Buddha personified this craving and call it the house builder. And then you ask about the rafters. So the craving is the main force, but for the craving to go, you have craving is combined with avidya, ignorance. Because of the ignorance that we keeps going, and so ignorance is like the ridge pole that keeps everything together, and the rafters are the manifestation of a craving. Craving can be manifested in all different ways. Craving can be manifested as greed, as conceit, as jealousy, and there are all forms of rafters. All forms of rafters are going to all different directions. So the craving is the house builder, and the ridge pole is the avidya, which is the ignorance, and rafters are the secondary defilements that we experience most of the time. Is it clear, brother?
Yes, Bhante, it is clear. So I guess what you're basically saying is you get rid of the ridge pole, you get rid of everything.
Exactly, brother. Exactly, exactly. But this is the problem, brother. Of course, the key is to get rid of the ridge pole. But in order to reach there, we need to kind of have some preliminary practices too. Because
Right.
we cannot have that openness at once. So first we need to reduce the force of the craving, and then we get to see what it's based on, and then we can attack the base and then finish everything. So it's like it's like, brother, like removing a bush. If you have a real big bush, if we can remove the root, you'll be done. But the bush can be so intricate and so wide, you will not even see the root. So in the beginning, you may have to trim the bush in order to see the root. So you trim the first, but you know that the trimming is not really solve the problem. But in order to get to the root, you need to trim it. And once you trim it, and you will see the root, and you can cut the root. In the same way, brother. So what we call sila, our moral practices, is like the trimming the tree. And then once we have that kind of moral practices, and we can have little more peaceful life, and we have time to reflect, we have time to investigate, and we will see the root, and then we can cut the root. But cutting the root is the main thing, like ridge pole, the avidya. But in order to get into avidya, we need to have preliminary practices.
Thank you, Bhante. You created a new simile, the simile of that bush.
Thank you, brother. Yes, simile of the bush.
Okay, Bhante, I think we have come to the end of this evening's Dhamma sharing, and I also believe many of them are also very tired after this evening. The full day session that we had, so many live broadcasts, that pujas that we had throughout the day. I think the audience is tired and now in a very meditative mood. And Bhante, I think can we now proceed to the Anumodana?
Yeah. Okay, brother. I really want to wish everyone a very safe stay and a strong immunity. And I wish that by the power of all the practices that you did today, and you may be blessed with good health, strong immunity, and by the power of the blessings of the great compassion of the Buddha, may you all be protected. So that is my wish for you. And we did the meditation, we listened to the Dhamma. Since the morning, you have been doing all these things. Let us use this opportunity to wish well-being and safety to all people around the world. And by now, your mind is so powerful because it is focusing to the Buddha and focusing to the Dhamma. It's wholesome. And whatever wish that you are making right now is going to be very powerful, effective. Let us take a moment to make this a strong wish. Let us reflect all the good deeds, all the good practices you did throughout the day. Let us make a determination, a strong wish. By the power of all these practices I did, may this pandemic be over soon. And may this virus become harmless. May all people around all countries be able to help each other. May we all come together and work in harmony and overcome this pandemic. And may all people, all living beings be free from any infections. May they all be safe, be healthy, be immune, and be peaceful. Thank you, everyone. I also encourage you to boost your immunity if you can with the vaccination. Of course, vaccination will not be the ultimate answer, but it can really reduce the risk of getting infected, but mainly also risk of carrying the virus. Sometimes we may not be affected with this virus so much, but we can be a carrier and bringing that virus to someone who can be badly affected. So I really encourage you to go and get this vaccination, and you will not be a carrier anymore, and you can be a safe person to others. And of course there are this is the better course of action we can do at this time out of compassion for all living beings. So with that, let us conclude and let us share the merits with everyone else. And on this special Vesak day, we think about our ancestors, our departed family members, relatives, and let us share this merits with them. May all of our beloved ancestors, our family members who have passed away, may they all rejoice in the good merits that we did today. May they rejoice in these wholesome deeds. May they be benefited from these deeds. May they be well, happy and peaceful wherever they may be. Idang mi ñātinang hotu sukita hontu ñātayo. Idang mi ñātinang hotu sukita hontu ñātayo. Idang mi ñātinang hotu sukita hontu ñātayo. Let us also share these merits with all other living beings. If there's any living being in this world who would like to share this kind of merit, may they do so. May all living beings in the world, including the divine beings and other beings, may they all rejoice in these good meritorious deeds. May they be benefited from these merits. May they be well, happy, and peaceful. Ettavata che amhi Sambhatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya Sabbe sattha anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Bhante. Thank you for an excellent sharing this evening on this auspicious Vesak Day. Thank you for taking time off. I presume you are not celebrating Vesak today at Pittsburgh, but on the weekend, I presume.
Tonight we have a simple
Ah,
celebration, but we had a
okay.
big celebration last Sunday.
I see. Yeah, that's right. I thought it was the coming weekend, so it's last weekend.
Last weekend. It was last week.
Okay. So, Bhante, thank you once again on behalf of the Committee of Management and also the monks of the Buddhist Mahavihara. To our sponsors this evening, who had sponsored this evening's Dhamma sharing, to all our viewers and listeners throughout the world, and also to the followers from the TBCM Facebook page. I hope you have benefited from this evening's sharing with Bhante, and we look forward to more sharings by Bhante, and also for you to join us in all our other programs in the near future. With that, we've come to the end, and have a pleasant evening. Sukhi Hotu.
Sukhi Hotu. Thank you very much, Doctor.